Have you ever found yourself staring at a huge, messy business problem and just not knowing where to even start? Well, today we're going to crack open the Analyst's Toolkit. We're looking at 8 essential techniques straight from the Babbook Guide that will help you turn that chaos into a clear, actionable solution.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to kick things off with a real-world challenge, a case study. Then, we'll follow a business analyst step by step as they use these very specific tools to unravel the whole mystery. And by the end, we'll have a complete toolkit that you can start using right away.
All right, let's dive into our case study, Globomart. They are a massive e-commerce company, a real giant in the field, but they've got a serious problem. Their customer satisfaction scores are dropping, and honestly, no one has a clue why. And this is a classic situation, right? Management can see the red flag, the numbers are going down, but they are completely in the dark about what's actually causing it. So they bring in a business analyst. The mission? Find the root cause and figure out how to fix it. It's time to start digging.
Okay, so where does our analyst even begin? Well, you can't fix an engine if you don't know what the parts are. The very first step is to just understand the business landscape. We need to build a solid foundation before we can do anything else.
The first tool out of the bag is document analysis. The big idea here is simple. Don't reinvent the wheel. A smart analyst starts by looking at what the company already has written down. Things like internal procedures, contracts, policy manuals. You got to start with what you know. So back at Globomart, our analyst is getting their hands dirty. They're digging into customer complaint logs to see what people are actually saying. They're reading through the shipping contracts to see what was promised. These documents are where the first crucial clues are hiding. Next up is concept modeling. Now think about this for a second. In a big company like Globomart, does the word order mean the same thing to the sales team as it does to the person in the warehouse? Probably not. This technique is all about creating a shared dictionary so everyone is speaking the same language. And this is so important. By just drawing a simple diagram that connects these key ideas, customer, order, product, the analyst makes sure that everyone from marketing to logistics is completely on the same page. You'd be amazed how many problems this one simple step can prevent down the line. All right, so we've got our vocabulary sorted out. Now it's time to follow the information. Our analyst is about to trace the entire life of an order, from the moment a customer clicks that buy button, all the way to the package landing on their front porch. And the way they map this journey is with process modeling. The easiest way to think of this is just a flow chart. It gives you a crystal clear visual map of every single step in the process, what kicks it off, what happens in what order, and what you get at the very end. And here's a super simple version for a Globomart order. Each one of these steps is a point where information is being created or passed along. By laying it all out like this, the analyst can start to see, where are the potential weak spots? Where could this whole thing be breaking down? Now, as we're following all this data, we have to get really specific. What exactly do we mean by order status? That's where a data dictionary comes into play. You can think of it like a strict dictionary for all your data, defining every little piece so there's zero room for confusion. And just look at this. This is what takes a vague idea and makes it totally concrete. An order status isn't just some fuzzy concept anymore. At Globomart, it can only be one of 3 exact things: pending, processing, or shipped. That's the level of precision you need to do real analysis. Okay, and finally, to tie all of these pieces together, our analyst uses data modeling. This is basically the blueprint that shows how all the different data points are connected. For instance, one customer can have many orders, right? But each order can only belong to one customer. Understanding these rules is absolutely essential to seeing the whole picture. All right, the foundation is set. The landscape is mapped, the terms are all defined, the data flow makes sense. Now we get to the really fun part. It's time to go hunting for that aha moment, the real root cause of the problem. But here's the twist. When the analyst first looks at the process map, everything seems fine. There are no obvious glaring errors, and this happens all the time in the real world. The problem isn't in the design of the process. It's hiding somewhere deep inside the patterns of the data itself. And to find it, you need a special tool, data mining. This is kind of like panning for gold. You're sifting through mountains and mountains of data, looking for those tiny, valuable nuggets, those hidden connections that you'd never be able to see just by looking. You're letting the data tell you the secret. And there it is, the aha moment.
the data mining reveals something absolutely stunning. A whopping 75%, 3/4 of all the negative customer feedback is tied to late deliveries from just one of their shipping partners. This isn't a hunch anymore, it is a cold, hard, data-proven fact.
So, the root cause is now out in the open. But an analyst's job isn't done yet, not by a long shot. Finding the problem is only half the battle. Now, they have to recommend the right solution, and they're going to use some very structured techniques to do it.
To make sure the choice is objective, the analyst uses decision analysis. This isn't about just going with your gut feeling. No, it's a formal way to gather all the relevant facts for each option and then systematically compare the pros and cons to find the best way forward. And this chart lays out the choice perfectly. Do they go with solution A, rip off the Band-Aid, replace the partner? It's fast, but it's also expensive and could be disruptive. Or do they go with solution B, try to work with the partner to improve? That's cheaper and keeps the relationship, but it's also slower and, it might not even work. Seeing it laid out like this makes for a much smarter decision. And finally, to make this recommendation stick, the analyst uses decision modeling. This basically turns the decision into a business rule that can be used again and again. For example, they might create a rule that says, if any shipping partner's late delivery rate goes above X% for 2 months in a row, then we automatically trigger a full contract review. It takes the guesswork out of it for the future. And just like that, our analyst has taken GlobalMart from a vague, confusing problem all the way to a specific, data-driven plan of action. So let's just take a step back and recap this incredibly powerful toolkit that got them there. Let's think about the journey. We started with document analysis and concept modeling just to understand the business. Then we mapped out the data's entire journey with process and data modeling. That's what allowed us to find the hidden truth with data mining. And once we knew the problem, we chose the best solution with decision analysis and decision modeling. You see how each step just logically builds on the one before it? So there you have it, a complete end-to-end framework for solving problems. These 8 techniques from the BABOK guide are now in your professional toolkit. So the only question left to ask is, what hidden opportunity at your job are you going to uncover first?